Evertonians, and welcome to the All Together Now podcast. As you can see, live at the future home of Everton Football Club here at the Bramley Moore Pub. Joining me, Tony Scott, is Greg O'Keefe and David Hughes as ever, and we're here to discuss Everton's new home kit as came out today. We're going to give our thoughts on that one. The World Heritage status is now at risk due to the Bramley Moore Stadium project. We'll ask the lads' thoughts on that. Sandro, Ramirez and Galloway leave the club. Give our opinions on that one, and the players have now returned back to Finch Farm, and we give a match preview versus Karyibangi Sharks. Hope I've got that one correctly. That's on Sunday, 2 p.m. kick-off. But that's the lads who they think will play in that match. And also to finish off, now that kid Zouma, obviously a bit of a problem now for Everton to sign him. Now Frank Lampard has took the helm there at Chelsea. Give our opinions on that one. First up, gents, the new kit was out today. Greg, you can take them out. Opinions on that one. Here it is, as you can see.
Yeah, I think, do you know what, it's not blown me away. I don't think it's the best Everton home kit I've ever seen, nor do I think it's the worst. I feel maybe I expected Umbro to give us something a bit more bespoke. I know they're talking about the cross-hatching or whatever it is there being like a nod to the Archibald Leach in the Gladys Street, in Goodison Park. And I'm not sure how clear that actually is really. I wonder if it's just a bit of Umbro have got a certain style like for this season and it's a bit of a template number. Having said all that, it reminds me of Schalke. They do Schalke's kit, and we were talking before we started recording. It looks quite similar. Having said that, like I say, I like the colour. Looks alright. It's fine, absolutely fine. No major issues, but sometimes you wonder, as one of the bigger clubs, if not the biggest club they've got, could they not have given it a bit more?
David, could it have been a lot worse?
I mean, it could have been worse.
Look at Chelsea's.
Well, yeah, definitely. It's not really a big deal for me, if I'm being totally honest. I don't think it's a bad kit. I don't mind it. In fact, certainly don't dislike it as much as other people. It's funny actually. I was thinking about this today, and I was thinking about. I don't know if I prefer us to have these uglier kits, because I think back to the team we had when we had that terrible badge. We had a really good year, and then we brought this nice badge in the following season, and basically since we haven't really done anything, have we? So hopefully we might have a good season if we have a bad kit. But yeah, and it seems something stinks really, doesn't it, about the Umbro deal, and it's not bespoken for me really. It's pretty basic and kind of what's already out there with the Umbro products.
Greg, what's your opinions on the kit launch itself? Do you think Everton could be better in terms that they can't do much on the pitch at the moment? They're trying to obviously close that gap in terms of the transfer market, but off the pitch, can they do a lot more in terms of marketing and kit launches? Can they do a bit more?
What do you think they can?
I think they can personally. I'd love to see some kind of project in place where I look at the way big clubs announce their kits, and say for argument's sake, I'm just throwing an idea in the hat here, is that you could have it on St George's Hall or somewhere in Matthew Street or in Dale Street. Invite loads of Evertonians down, have a big centre stage, couple of Everton players come out in the brand new kit from behind a badge and announce it like that, and everyone's talking about it. It's all over social media, everyone's taking pictures. Wow, I've seen Seamus Cole in the Everton kit today walking down Dale Street. Fantastic. Imagine the PR and the marketing spin from that, and everyone knows about this new kit walking through your city. I just think things can be done differently rather than a bit of a rush job towards the end. Well, it's pre-season. We got our first game on Sunday, and the kit came out. Well, you can't even actually buy it till July the 16th. So it just seems to me as if it's a little bit of a rush job. I think it's some things that if we can't do it on the pitch, we've got to get it right off.
I think there's two elements. I mean, I agree with it, partly agree with what you're saying, but there's two elements. You need the kit manufacturer, don't you, and the club to be in perfect harmony, and maybe to have an agreement well in advance of the kit being released, which we sort of know, and we've spoken about it on the podcast. It was a bit of an anti-climax, Everton's announcement that they were going to extend the deal with Umbro. There were question marks all over it in terms of how long for and how much it was worth.
That still haven't been cleared.
Cleared, and when you don't get answers on things like that, you always wonder if it's because it's not the most flattering deal in terms of stacking up with your competitors in the Premier League. So who knows what happened? We believe Everton did try and look for other manufacturers, and they've ended up staying with Umbro. So are we still Umbro's priority? I don't know. Like I say, if we were, maybe you would have expected a bit more. I thought the way Everton did it was interesting. I think this is quite cool. Obviously everything that happens at the live buildings is
spot on.
Is really good, but I know what you mean. I think back to even at previous Everton kit launches, maybe there was a bit more fanfare in the past in terms of like the video that they produced and things like that.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, if you look today, they had Gomez of Finch Farm doing his first press conference in the top. Touching on the point you're both making, why not have that the live buildings open air and maybe have him doing a bit of a Q&A in there, so doing his press conference and having a few fans in afterwards. I think that could have worked. I agree, because I think Everton's footprint on the city is kind of
massive.
It's dwindling a little bit at the moment, isn't it?
But the potential is there. Where we're going.
It is. But you've just got to. I've said it to you, both of you before. I think Everton need to do things a little bit differently to be noticed. Otherwise, if you're just trying to replicate what other sides are doing, who are naturally bigger than you, you're not going to do it. You're not going to be successful. So.
Well, you made a nice reference before to team in Germany, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I was maybe on your radar. I don't know. St. Pauli in Hamburg.
Yeah.
You know, they're the second division side. Obviously, they're not a particularly successful side, but they have their own identity, and a lot of people really love going to watch them when they're over there, and they love getting their replica kits or caps, whatever it is, because they've just got an attraction to them, because they're doing things a little bit differently. I'm not saying replicate them, but you know, certainly the idea of just doing things a little bit differently and put your own footprint on things is something I think Everton need to do going forward.
Do you think it's like sometimes when you see these big really all singing dancing kit launches, it usually coincides with a big club and a new kit manufacturer? So obviously Arsenal's one wasn't without its bumps in the road with Adidas, as we've seen in the news this week, but nevertheless the video that they produced, the short film with Idris Elba and other people involved in that, there was like a lot of money spent, and it created a ripple, didn't it, in the wider football landscape. Again, City and Puma, you know, everyone knows about that. I wonder if it's just because Everton and Umbro have had a relationship that's been, you know, long-standing really. It's not the first time they've been partners. Maybe they're just scratching their heads in Umbro's PR and marketing department saying, what else can we say about this club that we haven't said before?
Yeah.
And maybe that's why Everton wants to freshen it up, I don't know.
I think it's Everton, the one that's missed the trick for me. I think even if Umbro played a big part in it, I think, you know, we banged this drum about how much of a nightmare really it was that we were going into July without seeing the kit. They had plenty of opportunities to say, right, let's try and make up for this somehow. We'll make a big song and dance when it does come out, and I just don't think they did. I think it was a missed opportunity for the first time.
Well, more issues off the pitch. Was the World Heritage status now, Greg? Interesting to get your thoughts on this. It's now at risk due to the Bramley Moore Stadium project being in place. In my opinion, I think if I was obviously the Lord Mayor, which Joe Anderson is, I would grab hold of that plaque and just sling it in the Mersey. I don't think it's worth a carrot. I think it's holding this city back. For it's a £5 billion project ready here on the Liverpool waterfront, which is going to generate thousands and thousands of jobs. It's just a no-brainer, and why this should hold the city back. It's a stadium, there's going to be restaurants, there's going to be hotels, bars, transport. It's got everything going for it, this area, to be money to be generated in it. And for basically UNESCO to say, well, we're going to take the World Heritage status away from you. Take it away. People don't visit Liverpool because of its World Heritage status. They visit it because it's the music, the culture, the people, the buildings, the atmosphere, the nightlife, everything, the football teams, the Grand National, everything that this city's got going for it. They don't visit it because of a blue plaque on a wall. They visit it because of that. In my opinion, I'd sling it in the Mersey.
Yeah, totally agree. I think Joe Anderson made a good point, didn't he? And he said, I'll tell you now, none of the tourists that pour into this city at the moment, well, if not none, a very small percentage will ever get as far as the Bramley Moore. We're sat here opposite it. Obviously, we're hoping for very, very big things in a very reasonably short period of time, but at the moment, a tourist wouldn't come here. So to say it's got this World Heritage, protection, it is nice. But if they want to take it away in the face of us, actually, people who live in this city and care about this city, want to improve it and regenerate it and make it a magnet for local jobs and for international tourism, then let them do it. Screw them, because honestly, I just think it goes down to bureaucracy on that sort of in terms of UNESCO and almost a very patronising approach to things. And I heard Vox Pop on Radio Merseyside where they asked an American tourist, would it put you off? Would it make a difference for you coming here? And he said no, because the history is just there. You go to somewhere, if you're on a ferry, you don't necessarily go, oh, that's UNESCO, let's go straight there. It looks nice on marketing material and brochures and websites, but is it the be all and end all? No.
No, totally. I mean, I can't add anything more to that. I think it is. It's a nice thing to have, but it's not a bad thing to lose either. Once again, touching on what Joe Anderson said, I listened to an interview myself, and he said, which I think is a very valid point. He said, I'm more interested in building for the future, you know, building jobs within this area and regeneration within the city. It makes sense, you know. We don't want the city to just become a museum to the past, do we? You've got to move with the times, and okay, it benefits every football club, but it also benefits the surrounding areas as well. And you know, I think there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff where a lot of Liverpool fans are trying to really stamping their feet about it. If we're being totally honest, really, and that's why there's a bit of a stink. I think, if put it this way, if they were building, say, another arena here and the regeneration that went with that, I don't think you wouldn't hear half the things you do now.
Because it's associated with Everton football.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? That's not necessarily a stab at Liverpool fans, because I'm sure if the shoes on the other foot, you'd have Evertonians banging the same drum.
But what you've got to look at, this is for the city. There's going to be thousands of jobs that are going to be generated.
Exactly. You've just got to rise above that. And if we're being honest here, I know it's an Everton podcast, but we are being genuinely honest. It is for the best of the city. It really is.
And even if you don't like football and you're saying, well, I don't care for football, I'm not Everton or Liverpool supporter, but I'm proud of the city having World Heritage status and UNESCO recognising that. It's like, well, how much do you really value that as a citizen of Liverpool? Do you value it above the regeneration and the jobs? And if you do, I suggest you have a word with yourself.
Yeah, you shouldn't be.
It's just not that. Got to get your priorities
straight. I seen one of them vox pops, and a lad jumped on and he said, if you're going on about World Heritage status, go see the pyramids. Did you turn around and there's a pizza up within 10 yards? Where are you sticking your World Heritage status there? It's just total nonsense for me. And
is that a pizza hut?
You're literally within about 100 yards of the pyramids. It's unbelievable.
Might go after all.
Back to matters on the pitch. Greg, interesting one was Sandro Ramirez leaving the club this week. But it's interesting as much as that we'd like to see the background of the transfer, what Everton actually still paying his wages, because it's surely to go valid that they're not paying the 120 grand a week wages, are they? Everton will be paying some of them, so it's one of these transfers that at the time I think we all said this is a bargain. We're getting a lad who scored 20 plus goals in La Liga, getting them for next to nothing, bit of a salary, happy days. I think there was a lot of Evertonians, including myself, that
bit of a salary.
If you say that in this generation now, if we sign a player who's just scored 20 goals in La Liga this season for £5 million, you go, that's a bit of a snip there, I can't wait to see him next season. But because we know what's happened since and he hasn't scored a goal in 2 years, then that's the financial repercussions we've got to...
Yeah, I really can't see Valladolid paying even half of his wages, except he's on 120k a week. Would they be able to pay 60 grand a week? A small, unheralded La Liga, say small, you know, a sort of well-known historical La Liga club, but by no means loaded and paying big money.
Are you worrying that London might watch this?
No offence, lo siento. But but basically, we're still going to be taking a burden of, which again, it's like nice one for that Steve Walsh. But David, don't like to blow smoke up his backside, but he did a really interesting thread this week about Sandro's deterioration, I suppose, from that first season. It was you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't it? That first season at Malaga, when he came into the forefront of every scout's eye, and then subsequently, and it was well, what did you say about its confidence, wasn't it?
Well, I think it's with these things, which is always the case, it's a mixture of different things. So you're looking, I think initially when you look back to that move, it was 16 league goals he scored.
16.
Yeah, which on paper looks really good for Malaga, who I can't remember how great they were that season, to be honest. But when you look back at the goals and you kind of look at the numbers underneath, you know, he scored a lot of goals from distance, which on YouTube and that looks fantastic. And you think, what a player! This is, you know, he can score from all angles. But in reality, that's not normally sustainable. You can't rely on doing that.
Yeah.
How many players do you genuinely know who score from distance consistently year in, year out? It's not doable. So in reality, looking at the metrics, he probably should have scored around 8 goals that season. So straight away you'd be thinking, need to approach this with caution because it could be a massive drop-off the following season. We didn't expect it to be as bad as he was, but then, yeah, if you look at those shot maps, what you saw in the first season was lots of shots from inside the box, you know, all angles. Second season, you started seeing similar shots but more awkward angles. So you really want to be central when you're taking your efforts on goal because they have a higher chance of going in. Even if you're a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, if you think about it, that angle becomes a lot shorter with there's goalkeepers and defenders in the way. The probabilities of actually leaving the goal drop dramatically. By last season, with the confidence in there, you look at the old shot maps were showing 80% of his shots from outside the box from distance. Very little chance of leading to a goal. And yet I think at that now, at this stage, is confidence. You know, if he starts scoring, if he maybe starts getting played centrally at all times, then you might see a small improvement, but I don't think you're ever going to see an Everton quality improvement in there.
No way back for him.
I don't think so, no. I said that he has played a lot, and last season I think he played about maybe 40% of his minutes centre forward. So it's not like he has just been pushed out on the wing and left there to rot really. He's been played there, didn't get a single goal. Season before he got 1 goal, I think that was for Everton when we got battered 5-1 by Atalanta. So he's not a good luck charm either. So
he's not really, is it?
So no, I think there's no way back, and no, just for this sake, I hope it maybe works out for him this season. And he can go back in Spain and try and build his career again.
Interesting. Another player that left the club this week was Brendan Galloway. He'd been at the club for a long while. I think I remember a phase in his Everton career which he was keeping Leighton Baines up the side at left back at one stage. I think there was a time at that stage. It's a player who you'd expected a little bit more of, considering we bought him for a little few quid off MK Dons at the time when obviously Dele Alli was coming through that MK Dons team. Bit of anti-climax in terms of a signing this for us, isn't it?
Well, we thought we had got quite a lot from him, didn't we? Or certainly we thought there was a lot of potential. And I think, if I'm right, Baines was injured, wasn't he? And he didn't take his place. He started playing at left back and put in some fantastic performances, loads of potential, excitement, looked good going forward, quick. And I don't think many got the better of him. And we all of a sudden think we've got a real player here. The first probably time we spoke about a genuine heir to Leighton, well, Luke Garbett of course as well, but almost superseded Garbett in the terms like the exciting young fullback on the books. And then if you remember Martinez, Baines was fit and Martinez put him straight back in the team. Now Galloway was doing really well and he just got dropped. Now I'm not saying Martinez was wrong to do that. Leighton Baines in his prime as he was then demanded to be left back of most Premier League teams, if not all. So I don't think that was a bad call by Martinez, but I wonder what it did to his kind of momentum and confidence. And for me, he never really recovered from that. And Pulis wasn't great for him, was he?
No. And he was that. I know he played a lot, didn't he, for the under-23s last season. Season before he was at Sunderland, which hasn't been a great place to be at. And I did have a little cruise over his numbers, and he played just short of 1,000 minutes, no goals, no assists, very little in terms of defensive output or attacking output, which is probably why he hasn't sealed a permanent move there. But I was trying to remember this, and Hughes might be able to fill in the gaps. Did he arrive as a centre-back or did he arrive as a full-back? Because he has played both positions.
Centre-back Everton initially signed him for was what we heard at the time. He was.
Yeah, I just wonder whether his profile's better suited for being a centre-back.
Has he got the physique to play? He looks.
No, but then neither's like, say, John Stones or someone like. I know he's come to criticism, but you still can't deny he's a good player. And, you know, neither's he really. And I don't remember Galloway being. I know he had some pace, but I don't think he was like a speed merchant, so he weren't getting up there. His final ball, I don't remember always being that great either. I just wonder whether he'd be better suited playing as a centre-back, because he's gone to Luton to replace Justin James, who has gone to Leicester. Or might be James Justin, one of those weird ones where, you know, they've got two first names. But he's gone to Leicester. He was fantastic. He got the most assists in League One from left back. really good player. I think a lot of Premier League clubs have missed out on him.
Sounds like for a few bob as well, haven't
About 15 mil, yeah.
He's gone to Leicester.
Yeah, Leicester, yeah. No, I don't know if Galloway's been brought in as replacement, and I worry for Luton there because they've won the Championship, and I just don't think he's going to be good enough.
You don't think he's Championship level?
No, I don't know. I think he could struggle. One thing I will say is I only saw him in parts last season, and he did seem fairly decent, but it's just a different ball game when you're playing like under 23 football compared to, I'd say, even League 2 and League 1, never mind Championship.
Is he proof that under 23 football very rarely improves players, basically?
I think so. I think the big thing with under 23 football is, firstly, on the pitch it's completely different.
Yeah.
Secondly, it becomes a different ball game completely when you start playing it in front of people who've paid their hard-earned money. Because you're basically in front of mums and dads, aren't you? At that level, you get maybe 50, 100 fans. But
Agents,
when you're playing in front of like these lower league clubs who are there week in, week out, probably endured some shocking years.
It's their community.
Yeah, exactly. You get found out quick. So I think that's the main difference for me.
And coming up against players who've been in the game for best part of 10 or 15 years, bruisers who were up front who were just making their way in that division. Well, he's got to get tested.
Yeah, these players kind of adapt their skill set. They know they're not the best players, so you find a lot of times they have a really good footballing IQ. Like they know how to use the body in a certain way, and better than that anyway. But yeah, just very, very intelligent, and I think you get found out a lot of young lads in these loan moves, which is why they're so integral to finding out how good a player is.
He's gone back to work with Graham Jones at Luton Town, so it'll be interesting to see the developments of Sandro, Ramirez and Brendan Galloway over the next season.
Graham Jones, sorry, before you carry on there,
assistant coach to Roberto Martinez.
Is he first team coach at Luton?
Yes, he is indeed.
Nice fella, lovely fella, a lot of time for him as a guy, so maybe he can...
As a coach in the Championship?
Big challenge, isn't it, from what he's used to?
Was it Jones who said he wouldn't practice set pieces, or the club?
No, it's not at the time. I think it was.
Is so that what it was?
It's not at the time in training to practice set pieces.
I think he was singing from his boss's script.
Sorry, that's not a reflection on Jones. Just he was the one that
still
said
a mad sound.
Considering there's a 40% of goals are scored from set pieces, something like that.
Well, I can't remember the facts, but I know if you're looking for specifically marginal gains, you need to be working on set pieces. No, look at Liverpool and City last season, they scored the most.
Yeah, says a lot, first and second.
It'll be interesting anyway, maybe they can spark each other again.
Interesting thoughts indeed. Well, the players come back to pre-season training this week. Was there any players that you were expecting to come back in better shape when you're looking at the videos and pictures, or were they all... Well, looking at players like Luca Dean and Michael Keane, there's a video circulating of these guys who were on their holidays with their family and they're still taking time out to do a bit of training. Like Snyderland come back in, Lookman. Now, I looked at Lookman in particular and I was looking at videos of him and I was seeing Tom Davis in the background having a laugh with other young lads and Morgan Freeman, etc. And I looked at Lookman and he just distances himself out from everyone. And he always looks to me as if he's got a cob on. All the time, he looks as if he's sulking, and he was doing bits of work in the gym, and I was looking at videos going, I was saying, what's up with you lads, why are you so sad? And I'm looking for some, like, is he interacting with the other players? Maybe I'm reading far too much into it because of what's happened last season, the season before, especially as he wanted to stay at Leipzig, but I just think, try and mix in a bit more with the young lads, and he just doesn't seem to be that way. Your thoughts on anything you picked up on, Greg?
I don't know, I think it's hard to, I know what you're saying, and it's not just from watching those few videos. I think you're talking, that's reinforcing a suspicion that you've had over the last season, that is, for some reason, he's just not quite happy, his attitude isn't quite spot on. I don't think you can read much into bits and background videos, but I see what you're saying. I don't know with him, we've said it before, haven't we? I just don't know if it's time for him to move on, as long as we've got a hefty sell-on clause with him. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little bit of potential for him to still leave during this transfer window.
Interesting thoughts indeed. Well, we've got the match preview to cover. Hope I pronounced this correctly. Karyibangi Sharks versus Everton. It's on Sunday. It's a 2 p.m. kickoff. Now, I think Everton took a large bulk of the under-23 players. You know, Feeney, Broadhead, Hornby, Gibson's gone over as well. Is there any players that, especially you, David, you looking forward to seeing in the first team?
That especially.
Put him right on the spot.
Come on, especially.
I don't know. One thing I just want to touch on before we carry on with that point is I really hope it isn't another 22-0 because that kind of weirdly put a bit of pressure on our pre-season, I thought, last season. So I hope it's a little bit more of a competitive game. I think in the young lads, I'm not sure. Maybe if Feeney's gone over there, I'd like to see what he can do at a bit of a higher level because he's a massive character at the under-23 level, captain, strong centre-back. I'm sure he does, but every time I watch him, albeit I don't watch him a lot, but he always seems to just have a really strong game. He never seems to have a bad game. Limited defender, but a solid defender.
Attitude looks spot on.
Yeah, that's a big one. You know, it's chalk and cheese if you're talking about Lookman and Feeney. And I think touching on that point, maybe I'd like to see where Lookman's head's at, but I just don't like reading too much into these pre-season fixtures, especially this one. It's a strange environment, isn't it? Kind of strange landscape, and I don't know what to really expect from it. So
I don't think this game is about. It's not primarily about fitness or match practice. It's primarily a commercial agreement to try and understandably get us to Africa and grow our fan base there in a market that's maybe untapped. And the fact that there's a game there for local supporters to go and watch a team in blue, then it's all good. Whether it's that much reflective of what we're trying to do in pre-season, I'm not sure. I'd argue it isn't because he's mainly taking kids.
Well, don't you think that if he's looking, say, for a centre forward to sign this summer, don't you think it's worth looking at Humby up front, seeing how good he is? That maybe he's looking at a couple of these kids that may save him a few quid. A right back maybe to cover Coleman. Forward. I mean,
he could do, but you wonder, you know, at what level are those lads at as well? Because everyone's been on the same break, haven't they? So, you know, are you really going to judge Hornby, for example, on his first game back from pre-season? He's probably going to be massively unfit as well. So, I think there's definitely. You know, if someone stands out, you could think, well, I might give him another 2 run-outs going forward. But I don't know. I think it's really hard to judge anyone on this coming game. Again, though, on that kind of marketing point, so to speak, I know we spoke about it a few times, but I'd love to just do a little bit more of that. No, it feels like this one tied in with the sponsorship? So if we didn't have this, we probably wouldn't be going anywhere, would we, abroad? Well, we got the Germany
one in Portugal.
Yeah, not really anywhere.
I think they're more aimed at games.
And you know, I want to see the club expand and try and build a bit of a fellowship.
Haven't you got to get that on the pitch first, David?
I don't think so, no. I've talked about it before. I think right now, the way Everton's team looks, South America is a place we should really be exploiting, because Richarlison's massive over there. I think we won't have him for too many more years, but he's becoming like a superstar over there. Everton should be exploiting that. Got Bernard there as well. You know, if you throw Colombian in there, you've got Yerimini, who's massive over there. Alright, it hasn't really worked for them so far for us, but they still see Yerimini at Everton. Everton are playing a match here, fantastic. You could do a little tour over there, because we missed the boat on America, and now Liverpool have jumped on that, and Liverpool are massive over there now, humongous. No, we talked on the last show, I think it was off the pod beforehand, about the videos you've seen online of these pubs up and down America, shoulder to shoulder, people watching Champions League final. Like, no, I don't think Everton would have ever got to those heights because they haven't got the success on the pitch, but I think they could have definitely benefited from having the likes of Howard and Donovan and building on that market. So if we've missed that, I don't want us to miss another potential one in South America.
Interesting point indeed, David. Before we wrap up, Frank Lampard was named as the Chelsea manager today, Greg. So obviously thoughts are going to be all attracting kids, Zouma's signature, what's going to be happening with him. Do you think Lampard seemed the type of manager to give young players who have been on loan a second look before he actually sells them? Or do you think a deal may have been done in place?
It's interesting, because I don't think many of us know enough about what he's going to do with his limited options. Obviously he can't sign anyone, but he has got a couple of players who've come in from pre-existing transfer agreements, but not really defenders. So I feel we've always known it's going to be a tricky one because of Chelsea's transfer ban, if you like. I think he's going to want to see him. I think he's going to look at him at Everton and think, I want to see what he's like. before he makes any decision.
Can you see this one rumbling right on to the end of the window?
Yeah, well, he said, hasn't he, the next month it's going to be about assessing the squad, including loans, so can't see anything being done next few weeks. And then, for me, you're playing a lottery a little bit, like, you know, the way the club did with Giroud a couple of seasons ago. You're going to be leaving it late, and if you don't get him, you need him to target. I would potentially, if it was me personally, which it isn't of course, I would be looking at different alternatives at this stage, because I think by the time the deal comes through, it'll be late on in pre-season. I mean, season's only 5-6 weeks away, isn't it? And then if it doesn't work out, you're screwed, aren't you? Because we do need another player in that position.
Do you think Marcel Brands is looking at it and thinking, hang on, well, I'll test the waters so long till the end of the window, because I know that Michael Keane and Yerry Mina can start. Mason Holgate's there as well as emergency backup. I can basically wait right up until the window and then go for it. And it's not as if we're signing a new player who's new to the environment. He was successful last season, so he knows the place.
Yeah, I can't remember his name for the life of me. You know, turn my laptop off. But there was a lad at Derby, I think he was a Chelsea loanee last season, he was centre back. And we'll get the name at some point, but he played about 40 games for them. He was basically a mainstay in the defence. He's obviously going back to the club that Lampard's already worked with him. If it's a toss up between him and Zouma, you know, is he gonna go with him, which then opens the door for Zouma to exit. I'm sure many people be shouting his name now, but it's one to watch. That's a potential positive.
How much would you be willing to pay for Karyibangi?
Well, looking at his age, early 20s, isn't he? Obviously, I can't remember his age. That's why I'm saying early 20s.
24.
He's certainly, if not right in his golden period, he's
in the French world champions.
He's become a France international again on the back of his season with us. He's got the physicality. He's good on the ball. That's not going to come cheap. Now, if we were signing him from like in Marseille or Lyon or something, you'd expect price tags of maybe 30, 35, maybe even touching 40 to be getting thrown around because of his age. Is he perfect? No. You know, but he's a good, solid 7 or 8 out of 10 Premier League centre back for me. Probably doing him a disservice. Probably an 8 out of 10 from a lot of the games last season. So you could end up paying really top money.
What are you saying? Top money? What are you saying?
I mean, what do we pay for Yerry Mina? 50 million.
It was a big amount.
How much?
It was just under 28, 29 maybe. I know it was a big lump sum. So Sigurdsson was close to 50,
So we paid nearly 30 for Mina.
You mean, yeah.
So I would imagine we might have to pay the same.
Why? What would you pay?
I look at it, the transfer market right now, and Harry Maguire is going for 90 million, 80, 90 million. He's better than Harry Maguire in my opinion.
No.
I think he is.
I don't think
I think he is. I really think he is.
I think Maguire's a lot better than he's getting stick for, to be honest.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I do. I think Maguire could surprise a few people at Old Trafford, to be honest.
£90 million.
I don't know. Well, if you look at, if you really look at, and I'm very, very conscious of doing this comparison, but if you just hear me out, if you look at the kind of player Van Dijk was at Southampton before he kind of catapulted to the player he is now, there wasn't that much difference between the two, in the sense that they were playing at the similar level clubs, they were posting similar numbers in terms of the data. You know, they know that he's not going to go on to be a Van Dijk level, but if he goes on to be maybe 3/4 of what Van Dijk's turned out to be, then he'll be worth every penny. I think that's what they're doing. And then, you know, they paid 75 million Liverpool. That's only extra 15 million, that's 18 months on. So
interesting. Well, I just think if my dad made a good point the other week. He said he was expecting to pay near enough 70 to 80 million pounds for Zouma and Gomez.
See, does that makes
because we got Gomez,
you know, because I think we're 80 million into our budget, which we don't know what it is, and we are basically the same squad that we had last season. I get that we tied them down. I understand the benefits of what we're doing.
But when you're looking at, sorry David, Ashley Williams has gone, big wages, Phil Jagielka's gone, John Joe Kenny's gone out on loan, Sandro Ramirez has gone big wages, then the Galloway, Nicola Vlasic has gone, we got good money for him. We actually made a profit on him, believe it or not, and those wages have gone. And there'll be a lot of players going out the door again. James McCarthy expects to go, Kevin Morales expects to go.
But how many of these are pulling in big fees though? That's the only thing.
I know, but you're getting massive wages. You get massive wages out the way, in my opinion. I'll expect to pay for Zouma best part of 40 to 50 million.
For me, my ceiling, absolute ceiling, would be 30 million.
Was it, yeah?
Yeah, I think there's so many. We haven't got time to go through it now, maybe another show, but there's so many alternatives out there. I think that you could pay maybe 25 for them, 25 and a little bit less, 20, and get a player as good, if not better, for me. And I like Zouma, I do like him. I'd be happy if he signed him, but I think there's got to be a ceiling, and we can't just be, you know, a Sigurdsson type saga where we just end up going that little bit more, and we end up paying through our nose.
Yeah.
Blues, do you agree with David or disagree? Let us know in the comments below. We're on YouTube as you are watching. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back next week on the All Together Now podcast.